Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 8 of NotJay Builds. It's actually going to be NotJay and Reese Paints. McMurray is working tonight, so we're going to be missing out on him. But he is going to be with us next Saturday, raring to go. So that'll be good. And then Warmutt may or may not show up. I don't know. He's dealing with family things, as we know. So we'll see. And Todd is currently playing board games, Hex Encounter war games with some buddies. I can't remember if it started this weekend. I think it started this weekend and it's going to go for like a week, I think. I don't know. Anyway, but Reese and I are here. We'll be talking turkey. No, not really.
You never know. It might lead that way.
It might. It'll be turkey or food. It's definitely going to be Star Wars. Because I'm going to be painting Star Wars. Just before we hopped on, I was telling Reese that I've been working on getting the numbers up for my 49th Armored Division project. And I'm going to have what did I say? Some stupid amount. 22 times 15. Yeah, I'm going to have like 330 M60s for the 6 battalions of armored for the 49th Armored Division. Something like 300 and, well over 300 M113s. Handful of M901s. And actually, for whatever reason, they had XM233Es, which were the regular M113s with a single tow launcher on it. It wasn't the improved tow vehicle with the hammerhead on it. It was just a single tube. And it wasn't even in a turret. It was like pintle mounted. It was really weird. So I got to see if they've got those. Had Charles on here early giving us some emojis. Warmutt about 20 minutes later says Charles. Charles then said, Mini Warmutt, on Christopher Press channel this morning, I mentioned your name as the official Zombicide master of our ever-expanding community. He said he had more fun playing Zombicide than Tannenberg.
Ooh, that's high praise.
Whatever Tannenberg is. By the way, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, over on Gamers with Coffee, Warmutt is going to be hosting a Zombicide game for some of us. So come watch us if you want. Again, it's Gamers with Coffee. Greg's a pretty cool guy. He's hung out with us at March to Victory. And so, yeah, definitely going to be having some fun with that tomorrow, 3 p.m. Gamers with Coffee. We're going to be playing Zombicide. I'm going to be there. Warmutt's going to be there. McMurray will be there. So yeah, we should have some good times there. Charles says it's warm here, 79 degrees, with a fan on in my reconfigured room. All right. Grognard giving us a thumbs up. And then Tim D says, hi, folks. Sounds like you'll have to bash those vehicles. I don't know. Again, 3mm, there's not going to be a whole lot that I need to do. Just like get a little sprue, or hell, just get some of the 3D supports. So like, when I print up these guys, they've got supports that hold them up. I could probably just take those and make them, make them just glue them on there, call it good. Because let me show you what the XM233 looks like. XM233E1. Yeah, there's a good picture of it right there. Let's open image in a new tab. And let's share this sucker. Share screen. So there we have it. Let me make it a little bigger here. Yeah, it's literally a bog standard M113 with a toe on it. At 3mm, it's not going to take much to build those out, to be honest. So these were definitely 70s, 80s time frame. So yeah, there's going to be, how many of those are there going to be? Well, in the armored cav, or excuse me, in the combat support companies for the infantry, there's going to be 12 times 3. So there's 36 plus another 18. So whatever 36 and 18 works out to be, because I don't math well. I'm horrible at math. What is 36 and 18? It's 54.
36 times 18?
36 plus 18.
Plus 18. Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it's 54. So that's going to be 4 packages just for those. There's also, I'm going to have another 18. Yeah, another 18 from the armored cav. So that's going to be another package. So I'm going to have 5 packages of them. So $25 worth of XM233Es.
Now, did you see if Pico had those?
I don't think they do. Of course, they got the M113s.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to be easy to build them, to make them. Yeah. So, yeah, Tim D says that's what I got also. So we got to be right, referring to numbers wise. So yeah, I've been doing some research. I found some TO&Es from that time frame. So and I wish I remembered where I got them so long ago. I wish I remembered where I got these from, because I can't seem to find them now, which is bothersome to me. Yeah, let's put it this way. I downloaded this file almost 13 years ago. The TO&Es, the TO&Es I found, I downloaded on August 16th of 2010. So yeah, wishing I knew where they were, where I had found them.
So you've been planning this project a while.
Well, not in 3mm. What I was doing was researching for Cold War Commander using 6mm, and I wasn't going to do the entire division back then. I was just wanting to do like a brigade size force.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Telemachus is here. Greetings, bipeds. Uh, it says Tim B says it's interesting. I only knew Pico for train stuff. Guess I never thought of them having a site. And then he greets Telemachus. So, yeah, it's they've got all kinds of stuff over there at Pico Armor.
It's my main source for airplanes.
Yeah, they've got great 3mm airplanes. So, all right. So I'm working on this guy here. I'll just show y'all here. I need to figure out exactly which green I'm going to use on him. I don't know if I want to go with a dark green on him or a light green or kind of a turquoise green.
Weren't there Rhodians in the canon?
Oh, there's all colors of Rhodians.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just want them green. Gotcha.
But I'm going to go with a green on them. Like I said, I don't know which green I want to go with. I've got a slew of them. I don't think I'm going to go with Militarum green, because that just doesn't look right. I could go with a light green with this plague bearer flesh. Pull this down a little.
Lovely name.
I could go with this light green, or I could go with the dark green of orc flesh.
Now, is orc flesh like the traditional Games Workshop?
Yes, yeah, that dark green.
That might not be a bad color.
And then there's the even darker green of the Dark Angels green. I don't think I want to go that dark on it though.
I think orc flesh would serve you well.
Then it's really weird. I've got this. It's called Achelian green, but it's almost blue.
Huh.
Not sure I want to go that route. I've got the Warp Lightning green, which is like Kelly green. I don't think I'm going to go that color either. Then there's Creed Camo. I think I'm going to go with Orc. I think I'm going to go with the Orc flesh. And then his uniform, I think I'm going to do in browns, I think. Kind of not to be punny, but to contrast the green, green skin. I'm going to go with greens and browns.
Ooh, I need to clean up my workstation. It's just collected a bunch of stuff and I haven't.
Oh, dude, you've got, yeah, we're on the same page.
Well, and I just need to clean up this room in general. There's just piles.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Got a box of U.S. 2nd Armor Division in Normandy and their frog skin one-piece jumpsuits.
Oh, there you go.
Don't know if I'm actually going to paint them that way or not, but the box was cool. So
yeah.
It's just having 4 guys in 54mm might be cool, but who knows? I'm going to put those off till I get some more Germans finished because I need an opposition force for my Rangers.
So, yep.
I have a bunch of them done. They're just not. They're some of the first figures I ever did, so they're not quite up to my standard. I'm gonna drag them out and rebase them and see just how bad they are, but I'm honestly afraid to look.
So you said you're gonna do. You've done up the Rangers.
Yes, I've got all my Rangers done.
Are any of them Tom Hanks or Vin Diesel?
No. I've actually only seen that movie one time through. So
it's a good movie.
Well, I have it on DVD. I picked it up because it was in a $5 bin, and I said that's a shame, so I picked it up.
But to be fair, well, I like the movie,
Mhm.
but as far as in the first 20-25 minutes is amazing.
Right.
Uh,
I've seen that a couple of times. I was actually shown that in school.
but um, I think for my uh, for my preferences, and without that movie, we wouldn't have the greatness that is Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
And I think Band of Brothers is far and away
I'm gonna mute
better.
you. I'm gonna mute for just a second. I
Oh,
think
go
our
ahead.
landlord just knocked on our door.
Um, let's see. Walk About Games is with us. Hello, Chris. Until Mike just gives away. Mandarin Mike. How you doing, Mike? I hope things are going well for everybody this week. Like I said, it looks like it's just. That's way too much of that. Oh well. It is going to be most likely just Reese and me tonight, and that's okay. So I am painting up this Rhodian. That was way too much gray. I don't think I've got anything really to paint with that color now. Well, shoot. Oh well. Mini Warmuts saying hi to everybody. Tim D says, "Hey Mike, I just finished your last video. He's handcrafting raffle tickets. Going to film the giveaway tonight. Outstanding. You've almost done 6 subs. Now, is that completely built, painted, and decaled? Because if that's the case, good job, my friend. Good job. All right, let's get some browns onto his uniform here. So what has everybody got done hobby wise this week? Like I was saying earlier, been working on my getting my list for what I need to buy for my 49th Armored Division project. It's coming along nicely. A lot of work has I've got a lot more to do on it, on finding things. But yeah, I wish I could find the TONE tables or sheets that I had found on the internet 13 years ago. There's more I'd like to grab a hold of. Because they give me the numbers I'm looking for. Um, yeah. So as a reminder, As a reminder, at 3 o'clock tomorrow, Central Daylight Time, we are going to be going over to Gamers with Coffee, Greg's channel, and we're going to be playing Zombicide with Warmut. So that's going to be fun times. Filmmaker said he's made tokens and generic civilians. Yeah, Warmut. Yeah, we need to get him onto a game, definitely. Mike says my painting progress this week has only been priming my swamp raptor, 2 swamp slugs, and 3 flesh mites, all shadows of brimstone. Outstanding. Well, good job. I like it. Keep up the good work, sir. Keep up the good work. All right. Let me see here. Where is there's my snakebite leather. So has everybody seen the last episode of The Mandalorian? The last episode of the season for The Mandalorian.
I'm back and I have.
You have. Outstanding. I'm going to see if the rest have caught up with it also.
But I agree that I need to play Zombicide at some point. However, tomorrow's not going to work for me.
No, and that's fine. We're not expecting you to jump in right away. But we will figure out when we want to do that for you.
You may hear my dogs going crazy in the background.
What's that?
I said you may hear my dogs going crazy in the background.
That's fine.
Landlord knocked on the door, so
it happens.
A little bit on edge. So
I'm contemplating as to whether I want to do green splotches on these pants to make them camouflage or not.
Does anybody else have camouflage pants?
Not yet.
Okay.
But see, I paint each of them differently.
Well, right. That's what I was saying. Like if you want to make him a specialist of some sort and give him like the camouflage trade, the stealthy trade, or something.
Yeah. So Tim D is not finished. Warmut's finished. Charles is still missing the last 2 or 3. Andrew Mike still needs to watch the last one.
Yes, no spoilers tonight then.
Yep, can't talk about it. Now, I just saw. Donna had to help out Jay today by working up at the barbershop and covering the tanning salon for him last night and today. And so while she was there today, I sat down and watched most of season 3. I've got 3 episodes left of season 3 for Star Trek Lower Decks. By the way, if you've got Paramount Plus, definitely check out Lower Decks. It's it's great next generation Star Trek, in my opinion. It's funny, but it is right there with some of the best Star Trek stories for the next generation time frame. And it's classic next generation time frame. It's not this reimagined time frame that they've got going with live action stuff. But during that, I did notice that Strange New Worlds, the next season of Strange New Worlds, is coming out June 15th, which I'm very excited for, because honestly, I think it's again, it's got the right feel. To me, it's the closest thing to the original series that I've seen in a long time. So I'm excited that that's going to be coming online here pretty soon.
So when did you get into Star Trek?
What,
I know your origin story was Star Wars. I don't know your origin story with Star Trek.
so I watched the original series when it was in syndication
Okay.
growing up, but what really did it was when Mom took me to see Star Trek 2.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It
That
is
that was my
it is the best Star Trek movie.
that was my first exposure to Star Trek.
Yeah, it is. Now I had seen Star Trek: The Motion Picture in the theaters also back in 1978. I think it was 78, 79.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. It didn't capture me the way, and maybe it was because I had just seen Star Wars.
And Star Wars was so much better.
Yeah, exactly. Now, 40 years on, uh, 45 years on, I go back and I watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and it's not as bad as I remembered it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but to a 7 or 8 year old kid or
oh
young
yeah, it is
kid,
not. It is not a movie for a 7 or 8 or 10-year-old kid.
yeah.
Um, Star Trek 2 was definitely a movie for 12, 13, 14-year-old
Oh,
kids. Absolutely.
what a movie! Yeah. Um,
Absolutely. It's right up there.
I was thir-
So for
I was
me,
13 or 14, and I was at camp, and it was a camp specifically for young men, and they there was an analogy they were using throughout the week of wearing a red shirt, and it was not a joke. It was they're being serious and making some serious points, and then we watched Wrath of Khan. And that was my first exposure to Star Trek. And I watched it as a sci-fi film. I didn't have any prior exposure. I didn't have any preconceived notions. That was cool.
yeah,
Um, and then we all got red shirts at the end of the week. But anyway, I've still got mine somewhere.
that's cool. Um, but for me, and I've said this several times, many times, um, of the 6 original series movies, it goes as far as, in my opinion, best to worst. 264 315.
Okay.
Rathacon is far and away my favorite TOS movie, followed by 6 Undiscovered Country, which, in my opinion, has the best line in all of Star Trek. And that's when Sulu says, "Target that explosion and fire." I love that scene. I love everything about that part of the movie. It's just it to me it is classic Star Trek in every way possible. So, and people say, "Oh, you either like Star Trek or you like Star Wars. You can't like both." Oh, garbage. I love both.
They're two different things.
I love so I love watching Star Wars. I want to live in Star Trek, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Major Mike says we watched original Star Trek reruns on a black and white TV, one of the few shows that our parents would let us watch at dinner time. Wheeled the TV into the kitchen.
Oh wow.
I like the one where Spock dies. I mean, about time. Charles says 642315. So not too far off.
He's still got 1 and 5.
Yeah, and you know, it's he likes Undiscovered Country the best, followed by We Got Whales, Wrath of Khan, and then Crap, Spock's Not Dead. I mean, to be honest, that's how they should have been named. And then Star Trek, Star Trek 1 and Star Trek 5. Yeah, 5. Oh man, 5. I'll be honest. 5 is a mess. Star Trek 5 is an absolute unmitigated mess.
Now, this is coming from somebody that's only seen 1 and 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's so bad about 5?
The premise isn't horrible. It's just the execution of the storyline. And it's I'm not going to be doing any spoilers here because the movie is forever old, and there's no like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. But what happens is we find a Klingon, a Federation ambassador, a Romulan ambassador, and Spock's half brother, Sybok. They somehow trick their way into getting the Enterprise to fly to the center of the galaxy.
Okay.
And looking for God.
Okay.
Whether it's the human God or it is the Vulcan God or
whatever's in the center of the galaxy.
Yeah, it is the they think they're looking for the creator. It turns out that it's an alien that has been exiled there.
Okay.
And he wants to get away. And it's the line, and William Shatner directed it.
Okay.
So it's not great. And nothing against William Shatner. I love William Shatner. He is great, in my opinion. However, he's no Leonard Nimoy when it comes to directing himself. But he does have a good line that pretty much sums it up with, what does God need with a starship?
Yeah.
And then they go to the whole point of, let's, he doesn't need to, we don't need him to get away, so we will, it just, yeah,
weird.
It's not great. It's not great. But is what it is. Okay, purple.
Well.
But yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan. Now, for the longest time, I've always liked Star Wars. And I think a lot of what I thought was I thought a lot of the what I was dealing with in my mind for Star Wars was, I like it, it's okay, but I really like Star Trek. And that was because Star Trek was prevalent. It was in my face. It was right there because you had Next Generation going. you had the movies going, and we hadn't had a new, we hadn't had a new Star Wars movie since 1983, and there was no real, there was nothing really present except for, books and
Which those books are decent. Some of them are good,
yeah. Oh no, no, don't get me wrong. There are some great books.
but they're not
Um,
really a 13-year-old kid's books either.
right. Let's see the let's see. Let me get caught up here. Um, Mandarin Mike says 246315. Huh. Okay. You like the whales better than Klingon Homeworld blowing up. That's fine. Um, yeah, Telemachus 5 is the one with Cybok. And it was directed by William Shatner, Mike. Yes. I like the original movie the best. It's just a thing. Hey, Tim, I'm not going to tell you how to have your fun. Never a big fan of Picard and Star Trek Next Generation. Movies are better. Like says the chat, yeah, 8, 9, 10, 7 stand alone. You know what? I saw Generations in the theater. Which is 7. I cannot honestly tell you 8, 9, and 10. I can't even tell you if I've seen them or not. Yeah, Tim. The God creature, they shoot him in the face with phasers. So,
Well, that's a statement.
Click on Bird of Prey. No. Yeah, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen 5 that I can't remember if they were in Enterprise A or if they were in a Klingon Bird of Prey. Charles says he likes the Klingon pet in number 3. Yeah, the Torg, the wild pig / dog thing. Yeah.
I've never heard a Star Trek fan talk as negatively about a Star Trek movie as I have Star Wars fans talk about Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Nobody hates what they love more than some Star Wars fans. And I'm not going to say that the prequels were great. I'm not going to say the sequels were great, but I'm also not going to, as the British would say, take the piss out of them.
Right.
They are what they are. Like I've said many times before on the channel, I've got a bit of a, I do have a bit of a soft spot for Phantom Menace because that was my wife's and my second date in December of 2000 or 1999. So there's that. I go back and I watch the I go back and watch the other the prequels, and I still, there are parts of them I like, there's parts of them I don't like, and that's okay. So yeah. Stevie, how you doing, Steve? Yeah, Steve. This is the 8th Saturday we've done this. Not in a row, obviously. But yeah, we do. I'm starting to do just paint and chats on Saturday nights now. So again, if you're sitting at home painting up your Star Wars stuff, more than likely I'm going to be here painting up my Star Wars stuff. As you can see, I'm working on a Rodian right now. He's coming. I think he's coming together quite nicely.
So I need a more experienced gamer's advice.
Go ahead.
I have this machine gun tripod,
All right.
and it does not fit.
Let me blow you up here.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit on a standard base. That's the and I need to have. So this is my standard infantry base,
Uh huh.
and then I've got the tripod. And I've obviously got one of the crew members I want to put on the tripod, on the same base, and then another one I want to base separately.
What size is that base?
Oh goodness,
Is it like a 30,
maybe 30 mil,
30, 32?
something like that. So there's a 54 to 60 millimeter figure. That's
Yeah, there's about a 30.
maybe a
So
30 to 40 mil base.
um,
So
I would go with either a 40 or a 50 mil,
okay,
and just treat it as, since it's a crew served weapon, that's why
yeah.
it's on a bigger base.
Oh, right. Um, Another thing. What do I do about cavalry? Same thing.
Like for horses.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do for horses, you want to get an elongated.
Okay.
Um, if you want to,
As I said, the first time I started actually putting my figures on bases that I didn't cut myself was for the Vietnam game, and I loved it. So
so for cavalry, there's two different styles of bases. You can either go with hard cornered bases.
okay.
Normally, well, in 28 millimeter, 25 to 28 millimeter, it's 25 by 50 mil.
Right.
For you, I would probably look something closer to
Well,
30 by 60 mil.
yeah. This is it's going to be. I'm going to need a long base for these guys.
Yeah.
Um, there's no doubt about that. Because this is one of my smaller horses. And this is kind of my average size horse. So obviously, if I do base them, I'll trim the pre-made base off of these guys. But I'm waiting on my painting skills are up to snuff before I start painting these guys.
I think your painting skills are great.
Well, they just I need to figure out how to make the paint more durable on these. Because I've tried to paint one of them before, and it just this miniature is several years old. He's been beat up and everything else, and I think it's the kind of plastic that craft paint just doesn't stick to it as well. I need to figure out a better primer. So
So what you would uh, what you need to do is what I did for when I decided to finally paint my Boba Fett,
okay.
because
And you're I'm still in big end, so I would like to
yeah,
like to see.
I had to stand up and grab my
No worries.
box. So I was really nervous about painting up my Boba Fett
Okay.
and my Bosk, both of them. I was really quite nervous. Hold on, there we go. All right, you'll stay there.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see here. I'm covering up my keyboard because I don't want this. I don't want the basing to fall off into it. So let me do this. I was really nervous about painting up my Boba Fett.
Okay.
And so one day, I was on a paint and chat. This was well before we started the War Room over on Rocky's channel.
Mhm.
But I was on a paint and chat, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I think he turned out pretty good, all in all.
You really did.
And these are regular paints. These are not contrast paints that I used. So I actually did, shading and everything on him.
Nice.
Blended the flames on his jetpack.
Well, I've been using craft paints for 7 or 8 years now.
Now these are regular like Vallejo paints,
Gotcha. Okay, I've barely gotten into Vallejo
but
and some
uh,
contrast, but
yeah, you just gotta do it. You know, and I took my time with them. Now this is my Bosk,
oh no, that's sweet.
and he is I yeah, he is 100% contrast painted.
That's awesome. I played a Trandoshan in a Star Wars D&D campaign. One of my actually I think my first D&D character, and so I bought the Bosk Legion figure and painted him up as my guy.
Nice.
No, mine doesn't look a thing like Bosk, um, but I've got that figure too, and has a very soft place in my heart.
Yeah.
So
Um, and then I was unsure of how good I was gonna how good my Sabine was gonna look,
now
but
that is something I would
again, I
not
just I
attempt.
just
That
went at
different
her.
that color shading on the chest plate, that's pretty slick.
Um, and then also my General Grievous.
Okay, that's awesome. Yellow, red, blue, and green.
Yeah, he's actually supposed to only have blue and green sabers,
Right.
but I was like, no, I'm not just gonna do blue and green. I'm gonna make him, you know, do up some extra for him.
That
And
works.
then I even have R5D4.
Oh, I like that.
You know,
He's proven himself very useful.
yes, he has.
So throughout the years.
So yeah, you just another one I was really unsure of was how Padme was going to turn out.
Okay,
I think she turned out pretty good.
I agree.
So it's just you got to just jump in and do it. Take your time.
Right.
You know, definitely have an idea of how you want it to look before you start.
Hmm.
Um, and just go about it slowly. Take your time.
Well, I have a lot of cavalry to do because
They're
when I was still collecting colonials, I
yeah,
had I don't know how many British cavalry and German cavalry and Egyptian cavalry and Ottoman Turkish cavalry. Because my before I got into World War II, as big as I did, my main theater was World War I in the Middle East.
right.
And so you talk about British and Ottoman cavalry going back and forth, even then. Um, so most of them are not painted because I got my British molded in khaki or red, my Ottomans molded in white, and there we go. But
Let's see here. Let's get back to some of these messages.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, Tim, you're right. The bird of prey did come up behind when Kirk was standing there and said, "What does God need with a starship?" And the bird of prey came up. So they didn't steal Enterprise. They stole Botany Bay, USS Botany Bay, which is what they named the bird of prey that they got from in Star Trek Three from Christopher Lloyd's Klingon character. Um, yeah, it came up behind him and shot him in the face with torpedoes. Um, Tim D says I haven't been able to keep up with DS9. Says I think that people knew it could be done better, and it didn't happen. Too many directions the movies could have went, and somehow something else was chosen. The Disney influence maybe. Okay, so I will address that here in a second, Tonika. So I'll give you my opinion for whatever it's worth as a as a Star Wars loving individual. Um, I couldn't and can't. I've tried to get through the Voyager episodes. I'm the same way. I'm not a big fan of Voyager. I don't. Again, the premise is cool, and I think Janeway is an amazing captain. I really, really like the character, and Kate Mulgrew does an amazing job. Actually, all I like all of the characters. Just I some of the storylines are a little wacky, especially when they started drawing in some Alpha Quadrant characters that got drawn into the Delta Quadrant and then pushed away and back to Alpha Quadrant. It's like, why couldn't you just follow them? I don't know. Mike says I really liked DS9. I liked some of the characters in Voyager, but never finished it. Telemachus says I think some of the species in Voyager were some of the more creative, but the episodes were a bit hokey. Exactly, exactly. Charles likes DS9. He says most excellent. Charles Torres says that's about where I lost it. Also, I enjoyed it, but I couldn't keep up. I like the storylines in one or two episodes, like the original. Reese, you should be able to find pre-cut calf bases cheap. Yeah, check out Litco.
Okay,
Definitely check out Litco.
I need to. I've just
Worst
been
case
using.
scenario, you can get custom. You can get them custom made for still pretty cheap.
Okay, good to know. I need
Uh,
to price out how many I need and just make a stack of them.
Tim B says now I'm getting sucked back into Babylon 5. I love Babylon 5, man. Babylon 5 is great. Um Babylon 5 had some very classic script writings. Yeah, and trained theatrical writers. Definitely. Steve says, after painting crystal clear them, then wait a while and hit them with a dull coat. Great protection.
That's not a bad idea.
And then Tim D says, Telemachus, yep, but I've ignored it since first watching it. It just takes dedication, but now you can just binge. Uh, it was literally 5 years of watching every week. Few brain drain. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Uh, Telemachus says, still have ships for Babylon 5 Wars. Fun game. Too much time to play, though. Steve says I use Hobby Lobby craft paints, than Citadel Null Oil and Earthshade. So you're in good company there, Reese.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah,
Um, I took a look at my Germans and decided it was going to be too complicated to figure out. Too complicated to figure out tonight, so I'm back to my Apaches and Scouts.
that's fine.
So
That's fine. So talking about the sequels,
yeah,
the Star Wars sequels, 7, 8, and 9.
okay,
Well, let me preface this. By no means do I think that Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, And when I say Star Wars, I mean Episode 4, A New Hope, because when I saw it, it was just Star Wars. There was no episode. The crawl at the beginning just said Episode 4. It didn't say A New Hope or any of that other mumbo jumbo.
But it did say episode 4.
It might not even. I think it did. I think it did. And that threw people off. Like, wait, what? Episode 4? Wait. But that when I say Star Wars, I mean the movie that came out titled Star Wars in 1977. So Star Wars Jedi or Star Wars Empire Jedi. By no means are they anything other than what they're meant to be, and that is pulp science fiction. Let's be perfectly honest. Lucas uh, wanted them to be like the 1930s and 1940s serials that he remembered, watching in the 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing them uh, in the movie theaters, and that's exactly what they were. They were like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and whatnot.
Yeah, and he did a great job with it. It's not.
Well, that's the thing is what made. So people will ask me, well, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Every time I will say Star Wars, and they say, but
But Empire.
but Empire is like you didn't ask me which one was the best. You asked me which was my favorite. Star Wars is my favorite because it introduced us to the universe that is Star Wars. Now, Empire is the best. It's got the best story. It's got the best acting. It's got it's got everything you need to make it good. Now, the reason it's so good. So the reason why Star Wars is good is because it was shot on a short budget. So there, Lucas really couldn't go nuts with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though he went over budget, he didn't have a lot for the budget, and that's okay. The reason why Empire is so good is because he had somebody there saying one word.
No.
Exactly, George.
No, George. No.
Um, Irving Kershner did a great job, in my opinion, as the excuse me, as the director.
Mm-hmm.
It hits all the perfect, middle part of the trio. You got the down, you got they're beaten, they don't know how they're going to go on, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Jedi, and at least for me, you start to see the unwinding there, because he's got the big budget. He's got the he's got the eye for merchandising. It's still a great movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. It's not. It to me it is the weakest of the three from the original trilogy.
I would agree. It's probably the one that I've watched the least.
Um,
Um,
Now, people say, "Oh, you just don't like it because you don't like Ewoks." Well, to be fair, yeah, I don't like the Ewoks for multiple reasons. Now, if you put them into the mindset of what they end up, what people end up making them out to be, and that's furry little cannibal, or not furry little cannibals, but furry little, carnivores that will gladly eat who they kill, then that helps that helps the feel of the the situation there. But again, I'm I don't like them. I don't like Ewoks. Um, that being said, the trilogy is strong. It's it's got a good. It's solid, right? Um, then we get the prequels. The biggest problem with the prequels is that you don't have somebody there saying no. The entire time, Lucas keeps, you know, throwing stuff out there, and it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. We like that. Let's do that. That's and it keeps adding more and more and more and more. Again,
but the prequels at least had a coherent story written before they started
right,
filming the first movie.
right. You still have you still had one. Which word I'm looking for here? You had uh, one overarching idea, right?
Right. And
Now, I'm not gonna tell you that I'm not going to retcon the whole idea of, oh well, George Lucas had it all planned out
no,
for the first three movies. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
you can go back and watch interviews with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher about what they thought the first three were going to be like, and it's similar, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
exactly. Um,
So
I think
anyway,
you
sorry.
But with with the prequels, there was there was an A, there was a B, there was a C. There, we knew where we were headed with it. Okay, hold on, guys. Let's see here. All right, what do y'all think? Do the pants need some green splotches to make them camo?
Yeah, I'd say if you put some lighter green splotches on there, it might lighten him up a little bit. He doesn't look bad at all. I love that green tone on his face. To me, that's what a Rhodian should look like.
Yeah. All right. Um, the problem we have with the sequels, there's a lot to unpack. Before I dive in, let's take a look at. Commander Mike says it's a space opera. Yep. It was Flash Gordon serials. Yep. It was amazing. Yes. I call it Star Wars. Also. Yep. Okay. If I can find the old VHS of number 4, I'll check if it had anything on the crawl. So it will on the VHS. Probably it will, because the VHS came out after after Empire Strikes Back, where it said Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and he went back and added A New Hope at that point. So
He's messed with his original baby so much. I'm not sure the original baby's there anymore.
yeah, exactly. Um, Maynard Mike says he saw Star Wars 6 times in the theater when it first came out. Ewok casualties should have been way higher. I agree. Absolutely, I agree. But
Probably just
again,
make her dead.
the movie is, you're wanting to sell toys, and the kids are going to have problems if you kill off all the cute fuzzy bears. Maybe Warmont says Aliens. Yeah, Aliens is a great movie too. The prequels made Jabba a doofus. No, what made Jabba a doofus was the uh, redone special effects version where they brought Jabba back.
Oh, for episode 4, no, no, no.
That's what made him into a doofus.
Han
Uh,
walking on his tail and
yeah. But again, I understand why they had to do that, because in the original filmed scene, Jabba was a dude
but I thought
and
that was that in the movie or was that cut?
it was cut,
Okay.
but it was originally filmed. And he was a husky dude wearing a big fur vest, and Han walks behind him. So when you walk behind Jabba the Hutt, now that he's a giant slug, you can't just walk around him. You have to do something about, the tail. So you
Yeah,
had to,
but they could just left that out.
again, this, again, by that point in time, by 1997, 98, no one was there to tell George no. And that's what you get. Um, all the movies were somewhat roughed out. They knew the first three weren't going to be a good intro. Tim says looks good. Thank you. I hated the whole Trade Federation being Palpatine's patsies so he could grab power. Actually, you know what? I kind of liked that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like how they were characterized. That was pretty racist, to be honest. But yeah, I haven't even gone to the last three yet. Maybe soon. With the sequels, we never got the original crew together at all. Agreed. You do realize you walks 8 stormtroopers. They played helmet drums with bones. And where did they get the dress for Leia from? Agreed. They ate a woman and took her dress. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The thoughts and ideas presented after the fact, I don't have a problem with. But when I found out that they were originally written as Wookiees,
That would make so much more sense.
exactly. And we did get Kashyyyk in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And hordes of Wookiees fighting.
And Wookiees swinging down on vines, Tarzan yelling and blowing up tank droids was so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, that was cool. So with the sequels, George was completely taken out of the equation. So we, at that point in time, we didn't need anybody to tell George no, because George wasn't there. I mean, he still came by, still kind of watched stuff, but he didn't have any kind of input whatsoever. But they didn't have, and I'll be honest, I don't have a problem with The Force Awakens. I don't have a problem with how they handled Luke at the very end. I don't even have a problem how they handled Luke at the beginning of The Last Jedi, where he chucks the lightsaber over his shoulder. I don't have a problem with that. Um, the problem I have is they did not have a they did not have a cohesive story. Everything that J.J. Abrams had set forth was kind of undone by Ryan Johnson. Um, and so that's why I think I don't have. I give Rise of Skywalker a bit of a pass, a bit, not much, a bit, because J.J. Abrams came back and had to fix problems, had there had the issues that he needed to take care of to bring the story back in line with where it needed to be. Um, I think that they underutilized Phasma.
That would have been an interesting character to follow.
Um, they um, she Phasma, to be honest, is the sequel's Boba Fett. She had so much great potential to be a badass, and they punked her out twice.
Yeah.
So, not a fan of that. Um, so yeah. Let's see here. Uh, he was a creative consultant. J.J. Abrams or Jar Jar Abrams, yeah. Like I said, I didn't have a problem with the first movie. I honestly didn't. Um, it to me it was decent. Wasn't great. Could have been better, but it's not the horrible thing that everybody makes it out to be, right?
It left you with some hope that maybe these weren't going to be too bad.
Right.
Um, and then I stand by my statement that Last Jedi was a good movie, but it was an awful Star Wars movie.
Agreed.
As an independent film on its own, good film, great film. Love Ryan Johnson as director, but it didn't work with Star Wars. That's not Star Wars.
Now, one part in that movie that I cannot stand was the whole Canto Bight Casino Planet.
I didn't care much for that because it was pointless.
Exactly. Yeah,
The
it made
one
no.
thing we got out of that I wish they had done more was the little kid in the stables.
Yes. See, and that's yeah. Again, great potential.
Wasted.
Great potential. Um,
Because you get this movie that's called The Last Jedi, and Luke is in complete despair and burns the what he thinks are the books, and all of that, and he's like, it's all over, and then at the end you get this little kid who's force
yeah.
sensitive grabbing a broom or a shovel with the force,
Yep.
and I'm like, okay, I like that, but no. So Steve
Now,
says Mary Poppins Leia.
again, a lot of mixed feelings on that. So
I
I don't have a problem with her showing force abilities.
She already had in episode 5, frankly.
Yeah. Um, but that was the perfect time to honestly, we knew that she had passed at that point. They knew she had passed at that point. That the character, not the character, but
The
Carrie Fisher
director.
had passed.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect time to have her go out.
Instead of whatever phony robotic, we're going to splice some dialogue in that Return of the whatever that was it Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of
Yeah,
Skywalker.
that whatever that was, because that having basically the characters say a bunch of stuff and then her have like 2 or 3 words just didn't.
Yeah.
That's not Leia. Leia's opinionated. Leia's going to say stuff. Leia's going to, knock your block off with her. This is the way it's going to be, and this is the way I want it done. And
Right.
you can't do that with forced dialogue.
Yep.
Honestly, it was a shame to Carrie Fisher, and it was a shame to Princess Leia.
Now, if they had her, if Carrie Fisher had still been alive, I didn't have a problem with her bringing herself back to the ship using the Force. Again, it, how it was actually done was a bit hokey, yes, but I didn't have a problem with the concept. Other than Carrie Fisher had already passed at that point, so we knew that she wasn't going to be coming back. As the actress wasn't going to be coming back. So, then again, Lucas grabbed the merchandising license from the beginning. Yeah, that's where he made all his money, was merchandising. He knew that it was going to be huge.
Ahead of his time on that part.
Yeah, more Phasma would have been good. They could always pick something back up. Took about 40 years for the original Infinity Wars. About 30 years, actually. I thought Rise was a steaming pile. She should have sacrificed herself on the ship crashing, not Laura Dern. Dialogue could have been Leia, if we don't have you, what will we have? Leia says, hope. Yep, see, that, Steve, you're right. That would have been perfect. Absolutely. I agree with you.
Maybe Lucas will buy Star Wars back and then do one of Lucas' kids will buy Star Wars back and do a special edition.
There's no way Disney's going to let that go.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on how hard Disney bites the dust.
Disney isn't biting the dust anytime soon. They own. Let's put it this way. They own the top 4 biggest franchises of all time. They own Star Wars. They own Avatar. They own Indiana Jones, and they own what was the 4th one I was thinking of?
Avengers.
Oh yeah, Avengers, Marvel.
Right. Are you an indie fan?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
The first 3.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know.
The Crystal Skull thing. I've seen the Crystal Skull thing like once.
I've actually never seen it.
You don't.
Yeah.
If you're an Indiana Jones fan, don't.
I'm
Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade.
Last Crusade was one of the best adventure films ever made.
What's that?
Last Crusade was one of the best adventure films ever made.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the best of the indies for sure.
And
you may go with Raiders, but
because again, my favorite is Raiders. The best is Last Crusade.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see 5, but I don't have high hopes.
Yeah. What Star Wars am I building, McMurray? Well, I've been working on this Rhodian here. Let me go ahead and I put a little bit of green on his pants, not a lot, and then I did a null and oil wash over it to tone it down. I think he turned out okay. And now I'm working on this Bith. Friggin' Anne and the modal nodes. Tim B says Avatar is meh. I'm not saying that it's great. I'm just telling you how it is.
Never seen it.
Have you seen Dances with Wolves?
Love it. Yeah.
You've seen it.
Okay, cool.
Except the Indians are big blue things that do weird shit with their 6-legged horses or 8-legged horses or whatever the fuck it is.
Because Indians weren't politically correct or something, or
I don't know. No, it's a sci-fi movie. It's yeah.
Speaking of Dances with Wolves, I've got 3 scouts here. I'm going to prime one of them to go with the rest of these guys. I'm trying to figure out which one to do. So I've got, if you want to take a look at him, I've got this kneeling guy with a Winchester. It looks kind of like John Wayne and Hondo.
Yeah.
I've got this long-haired fellow with a mustache, with a big feather in his hat.
That could almost be Custer.
Yeah,
except for the big feather.
Yeah, and I've got a Custer figure, but that's not him. And then I've got this guy with kind of clean shaven with a Winchester and a big fringe jacket.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out which one to prime.
Do your John Wayne.
Okay. I've also got Clint Eastwood over here, though.
Ooh.
So I'm not going to paint this one tonight, but that's going to be in my next batch.
Tolmike says they have to keep the properties they have been buying. The old original stuff is coming off copyright, the characters wise. Yeah. 96 raffle tickets punched out in 4 colors to match the colors of the Britannia players. There you go. This Bith. Yeah. Tim D says, interesting movie, yes, just not groundbreaking to me. I think what made it so groundbreaking is that it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first movie that was filmed to be presented in 3D. Now, I can't watch 3D movies because of my astigmatism. I put on the glasses and the 3D just doesn't work for me. It'll either it's either fuzzy or it looks like old style cutouts. Where you got this in front of this, and it doesn't look natural. It looks like I've got a cutout of a 2-dimensional cutout here and a 2-dimensional cutout here that are, moving back and forth behind one another. So, Steve wants to know if those are big plastic army men.
So they are Paragon Scenics 54mm figures.
Okay.
I guess you could class them as big army men. I mean, some they're bought to do that. They're a little more expensive than army men. But you could definitely use them that way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people use them because there's a whole sub hobby of like marks collecting of like the old Fort Apache soldiers and stuff like that. Let's see if you can find them. It's been a while since I bought. $25 a box. There's going to be 18 to $25 a box depending on what you're looking for. The scouts I got, I think I only got 1, 2. I think I only got 8 in the box.
Yeah.
But the Apaches I got, I can't remember because I didn't buy the Apaches straight up. I bought somebody's collection. It was like half a bag of this and half a bag of that. But they're great. I love them. I started out with Armies in Plastic, which is the price has fluctuated, but you can on a good sale you can get a box of 20 figures for $10 with Armies in Plastic, but they don't have the Western gunfighters and stuff. I've got the Austin miniatures gunfighters. I've got them in both colors because they made them in tan and made them in gray. And then I got my Toy Soldiers of San Diego cavalry, and then Toy Soldiers of San Diego makes the best horses on the market, bar none. So Paragon sculpts their own guys to go on them, but then buys Toy Soldiers of San Diego horses and then puts their guys on that. So um, I'm nerdy about big figs too. Don't worry. So
Memory says Steve is a big plastic army man. Steve wants to know how much do they cost?
about anywhere for the Paragon, anywhere in the Toy Soldiers San Diego, 18 to 25 a box.
How many are in a box?
As I said, with the Scout set, because they're all individual figures, none of them are. There's no multiples of the same pose. I think there's only 8 in that.
Okay.
But with the actual like multiple, there's multiple of the same casting in it. I think sometimes you can get up to 16. It depends on what set you want.
So if they're $25 a box and you got 8 of them, you're looking at a little over $3 a figure. That's not bad.
Something like that. Yeah, they're not bad. It's definitely cheaper than the Dragon 1/35 scale figures that I do for World War II.
Oh yeah,
I don't even want to think about price per figure on those guys.
Yeah, if you're looking at like actual 35 millimeter models,
yeah, like these guys,
those are stupid expensive. In all honesty,
yeah. I don't want to think about it.
Right? Yeah.
Don't want to think about the big pile of unpainted lead.
There
unpainted plastic.
There are no way at the same price level that Chris Clucky has with his French and Indian War stuff.
Well, and when I first saw his stuff online, I thought that he was painting Armies in Plastic French and Indian War figures, and I thought he was just a phenomenal painter and I thought he was touching them up with an X-Acto knife or something, because a lot of the same poses and sculpts are very similar to the Armies in Plastic figures.
Yeah.
And then I found out what he was actually doing, and I was even more impressed. Just for a lot of different reasons. But no, I followed him online for years. Was very much inspired by him. Probably found him in 2014.
Yeah.
And started just reading his blog.
Yeah, his stuff is fairly amazing.
His tables, like, just don't even think about his figures. His terrain tables are something I aspire to replicate.
Yeah, so his tables are the reason I did the how I did my I modeled my indoor table.
Yeah, and if I have the space one of these days and I don't have to worry about each piece being modular, I am going to try to do something of that level for either a jungle layout or a World War II French town or something. Because honestly, I'd probably get more use out of a desert, because I could use it for Tunisia and Sicily as well as World War I in the Middle East.
Right.
But I need to get back into that. But I need to get myself up to Kansas City and bring those figures down. But Then I got to find a place to put them down here.
Right.
It seems like every time I talk to my mom, she's like, "When are you coming to get these giant filing cabinets full of figures?"
Gosh, Mom. When I get to it. God.
No, she's not as pushy as I make her sound a bit.
Yeah. McMurray says at least they're super cheaper than John Jenkins. Yeah, John Jenkins
What are they, like
are
$60
what
a fig?
that's what Chris Clucky uses.
Right.
And
And then he's not content with them. He modifies them to make them even better.
right. So
He surprised me at just how nice a guy he was.
who? Chris?
Chris Clucky.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. He is he is a treasure of a guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's see.
I hope somebody in his family has taken up the wargaming hobby.
Battle. Okay, so um, I'm looking at some guys here. Two French militia wounded figures, $59.
Good night.
3 French militia skirmishing, $87.
Okay, so they're still up there. That's not.
French Marine skirmishing set, well, retired and sold out, $95.
Yeah, so what are they going for on eBay now?
Oh God, yeah.
Because that's what I have. That's where I have to track down all my dragon stuff. Is because a lot of stuff isn't printed anymore. I got to find it on eBay. It's in somebody's basement or somebody's garage or some hobby store that hasn't sold them in 20 years. Or
Yeah. So, Tim D says I'd rather spend money on an original lead figure at the antique store, but I have an aversion to lead.
oh, I don't have it with me. It's in storage in Kansas City, safely where it belongs. But I have an original Marks metal wind up World War One tank.
Oh,
from
nice.
From the 20s. I was working for a dear friend who runs an interior design shop, and just a fantastic lady. And I drive the van occasionally. I'd unload furniture for her, just summer job. And she found out I was into miniature soldiers, and she's like, "Well, I have something that was my dad's, and I think you'd get more out of it than my kids or my grandkids would." And I'm like, "Okay," like I'm not thinking anything about it. And so we stopped out at her house for a little bit. And she went down the basement and came up with that tank. And she's like, "Well, the winding key is, it still works and everything. And the clockwork in it runs amazing, but it's missing the treads and it's missing like one part of the winding. But it is really cool. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll send you a picture of it on Discord of the model of it. I don't have it with me.
Yeah. So, yeah, 12, like the 2nd New Hampshire Infantry Regiment, 12 pieces, $348.
Good night.
348 divided by 12. Actually, that's not bad. That's $29 a figure.
Still, that's.
But they're already painted.
That's the price I'm paying for my helicopters and tanks and stuff, though.
They're already painted.
Oh,
they're metal. So yeah, it's a hell of a hobby. I mean, it's up there. All right, let's get this guy going here. Okay, let's get his eyes done.
Let's see if this will send to you. You don't have to share it. I just want you to see it. As I said, mine is missing the tracks, so it's just the metal wheels, but the metal wheels still run.
There we go. All right. Hold on, let me.
Oh, no worries and no rush.
I heard it. I heard it go boop. So let me take a look here. I'm gonna share it because it's cool.
Yeah. But that's probably the oldest thing that I have in my collection.
There you go.
And if I remember right, it was made in the late 20s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Give everybody a chance to take a gander at that.
But
Tim D says parts can actually be found for those toys. Replica parts might be cheaper.
you know, might be something to do. And honestly, whenever I get to my World War One stuff, I may put it on the table, just the way it is. So
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't have anything cool like that. Unfortunately.
I have a lot of cool old stuff, but only one like cool old miniature thing. So if you haven't noticed, I'm kind of a fan of cool old things. It's why I hang out with you guys. So.
Thanks.
Hey, at least I said you're cool.
I've been called a lot of things. Cool normally isn't on the top of the list, but I'll take it.
Hope McMurray got a laugh about that one.
Yeah, I'm going to be, it seems that, and this will probably end up being eventually be an actual full topic that we'll discuss.
Yeah.
On one of the regular shows, but ever since I started in the hobby back in the late '80s, I have been hearing about the demise of the hobby. That it's the grain of the hobby, if you will. That
right.
And how long ago was 1987 at this point? 34 years ago? Did I math that right?
You said 84?
87.
87. 87 would have been, yeah, about that.
Yeah. So, they. Is it for the most part, do you see people gaming that are older? Yes. And there's a reason for that.
Money
They have time and they have the money for the most part. Because, or you see them fairly young because they have the time and their parents' money. It's when you get out of college and you're starting a family that of your own that you end up not you end up not doing it anymore because you're wheeling your kids around to all of these different things, all these different places. You're taking them to, soccer, or you're taking them to wrestling, or you're taking them to scouts or whatnot, and it's costing you money to do all of these programs with them. um, or you've got to, it's just you are not, you don't have the time to do it anymore. And then the kids finally move out, so you're not, or they get old enough where they can drive themselves, and so you can start you know doing doing the hobby again. So that's why it looks like it's always old guys, but it's not the same old guys. In some cases, it is the same old guys. There is, I'll be honest, there is a guy who, when back in, when was it? Mid '90s. Um, he was he was old then, and now I still see him at recruits every year, and he's even older. He looks the same,
Yeah.
but he had to be back then. He had to be late '50s, early '60s, so he's got to be pushing '90s easy at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's
I think that's with like most hobbies.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Um,
Um,
Now, I will say it seems like my generation prefers a different style of gaming, but I think that's with basically any generation change is there's got to be some sort of change in what they prefer as well. I mean, just because I prefer something besides the mass battle games, I guess I'm a little bit biased, but there's a large following in my generation that's just sick and tired of picking up a 5 gallon bucket full of dice and rolling on the table for 5 hours.
right.
So
Yeah. So that's why skirmish games, when it comes to miniatures,
hmm
why skirmish games have become so popular.
oh yeah,
Um, you know, a lot of people don't have an entire afternoon to spend moving, you know, hundreds of miniatures around and rolling
and
gobs of dice.
I can run a 54 millimeter gunfight on a 2.5 by 2.5 table,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
now it may look like a close, intense knife fight, but hey, that's combat.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're leaning over a barrel and shooting at a guy on the other side of the barrel, so be it.
Yeah. Um, so I think that's why you're seeing in the last 20 years, you've seen a big move away from the mass unit combat games in miniatures. You've moved away from seeing uh, your rank and flank games. That's why uh, Fistful of Lead has taken off. That's why Force on Force Ambush Alley Games has taken off. That's why
Which I need to
you've
actually
got
sit down and play a game of that.
Saga. I'm not saying Saga's a great game, but you
Well, but
don't have to have a crap ton of miniatures.
is Saga that Dark Ages skirmish game?
Yeah, so,
I've got a buddy that in Utah that plays that.
and it's not a horrible game, but it does require specialty dice
Hmm.
that are different for each faction.
Is it made by the same people that made? Is it a Fantasy Flight game?
No, 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 no. It's made by something in Tomahawks.
Okay. Muskets.
It's the same company that made my that made the made this here. Um, Made Congo.
Okay.
It
Which,
is.
by the way, I am really interested to see what you think of Congo, because Congo is something I was looking at for a while and thinking about getting into, but
Yeah,
decided against it.
Studio Tomahawk.
Okay.
So, um, and for that game, it's you have your warlord, you've got your which of course is one figure. You've got your elite troops, which are like 4. You got your middle troops, which are 8, and then you've got your rabble, which is 12.
Okay. All together on one
What's
force?
that?
All in one force?
Yeah. So I think it's like 15. You have like, I think it's 15 points. Your leader is free, and then I think it works out to where it's a point per. No, it's not a point per model, but it's a point. It's some number of points per block,
Okay. Cool.
where each block comes out to be roughly the same amount. So buying 12 rabble is the same as buying 8 regular troops. I think Guaya popped in, so just popped in to say hello before I zip off to Wonderland. Hope you're all having a wicked weekend. Eyes pink, heart shape. Oh, okay, a little emoji. No, yeah, he says the last emoji because it reminds me of the brindle fly in the end of the movie. Let me see what that it looks like over on over here. Oh yeah. Okay, I see that. Yeah, have a good night, buddy. Take care, Chris. Um,
Sounds like one of those games that could be all about the list building instead of the.
It is. It's a list building game, and when you roll the dice, um, it allows you to do certain things um, with the different um, types of troops you have. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a list builder.
but no, yeah. So it's
My
it's a
my list
competition
building
game.
is going to be based on the story, not on the um, not on what's going to win.
Right, right, exactly. But it works out to be a it's a, competition game,
Gotcha.
which again, I'm not
Look,
saying that people that play that type of game are wrong. If that's how they want to play, then by all means, let
oh
them play
yeah,
that way. Um,
it's just
that's
not my thing.
exactly. So that's where we are with that. Um, but I know people that like to play that way, and if that's the way they like to play, well, then who am I to tell them they're wrong?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, hey, my first wargaming was setting guys up in a line and shooting them with a spring powered cannon because that's what H.G. Wells told me to do.
right, exactly.
And I said, but this doesn't work for moderns.
Right.
So
Now, if that's how you had fun, then
yeah.
great.
And so I started slowly amending it towards World War II, and then discovered that people had actually written rules. So found a PDF online of a rule set that had been custom written by a group in Jackson, Mississippi for World War II 54 millimeter skirmish combat.
Yeah.
It is one of the crunchiest set of rules I have ever written. You need 3 figures for every person because you have to specify whether he's prone or if he's crouched or he's standing. All rolls are taken on a D100.
Ugh.
It's yeah. And I was trying to play that for a couple of years.
I am not a crunchy player.
Yeah, I'm starting to not be.
I am very much, and I've said this many times before on this channel. I am very much a results based gamer.
Yeah.
Um, Again, this is an issue that I have with the contrast paints.
Just not getting consistent or
Well, yeah, the consistency of the colors,
gotcha.
um, of the different colors. Uh,
Um, yeah, I only got like three of them, so I haven't had a lot of experience figuring that out yet.
so like this blue is really really good.
Okay.
It does some good coverage.
Okay.
Whereas the turquoise, not so much.
Now, I was inspired. I think it was Todd that did a couple of videos a while back. Excuse me, it was Wardrobe that did a few videos back where he did the
God,
same. Yeah, he did the. I was just used his first name instead of. But anyway, I think it's well known. But um, he did like the same scenario with several different rule sets,
yeah, Barkman's Corner.
and just to see which rule set he liked. And I'm thinking about doing something similar. I'm not. I don't think I want to film it um, because I'm really tossing back and forth 5 Men in Normandy versus Fistful of Lead for this Normandy campaign,
Right.
and I've played both, but I really haven't ever sat down and compared the two. To me, they're just two different games. So need to sit down and figure that one out. Probably enlist Tabletop Simulator and a few buddies and see what we can do.
Yeah.
But
Um, Tim says I like crunch that moves. Excuse me. I like crunch that moves smoothly. Tom Mike says I like toasted crunch. Of course, that's subjective or objective. Never could get those two. And then Tim B says toasted crunch is good also. So, I like I said, I'm very much a results gamer. I want to see at the end of the turn or at the end of the game or the end of whatever. Do I have a viably realistic um, completion, right?
right,
Does the results that I'm getting when I step back and look at the end of the game, do I see something that is reminiscent of what could potentially have happened if we were dealing with reality, with the
well,
understanding that we will never get reality with these games.
right,
But is the outcome believable? In other words, if I'm playing a game that is, um, well, a Star Wars game, c- could I potentially could I potentially see an outcome where in reality, and I say reality, in the movie, the outcome was one way, but in the game the outcome is goes the other way. But does it does it still feel like it is legitimate? You know, did did
Yeah.
it did it come out with the right feel to what happened? You know,
Yeah. As I said, I need to do some testing. Um, well, here's a question. You're probably one of the best to ask this. Do I throw force on force in that testing? I've got
sure,
the rules. Never really played them.
sure,
Um, I mean, for 5 to 10 versus 5 to 10, is it viable at that scale?
yeah, yeah. So when I have run when I've run force on force games, um, I normally ran them asymmetrically,
Okay.
where I would have I would have a I could go as big as a platoon
Hmm.
of Americans with each squad being broken down, their maneuver elements being broken down to the fire team level.
Right.
So I would have so when I would take it to a convention on the American side, I would have three players. Each player had a squad. Each squad would be broken down to two fire teams, basically, because it's U.S. infantry, not Marines.
Right. Infantry's what? 3 fire teams?
Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so each player had three would have um, and then uh, the opposing force would be like 50, uh, 50 opposing force.
Okay.
But whereas the Americans' troop quality was a troop quality and morale was a 10-10, the opposing force was troop quality 8, morale. Some of the leaders had morale 10, which then would, if they were close enough, would give a morale 10. But if they weren't close, they would be morale 8.
Okay.
And that would be 10 groups of 5 for them.
Okay.
So um, so I could easily get 6 players on the table.
Oh, when I said 5 to 10 versus 5 to 10, I meant 5 to 10 figures versus 5 to 10
Right,
figures.
right, right. What I'm saying is you can run it where you just have 2 groups of 5
Okay.
on each side without a problem, and that's perfect for 2 players.
Okay. Good.
So what I'm so where I was going with my how I built a clock when you asked me what time it was. Um,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. No, no, no. That's on me, not on you.
Well, I
Um,
see you as a little bit of a force on force expert. So
well, it's been a while since I've played, but yes, I've run the game multiple times at uh, at conventions, both uh, you know real conventions and at just game days for friends,
right,
which are like little miniature conventions for us.
right.
Um, and and I've actually run the game uh, under the watchful eye of Sean. A couple of times he'd come up to recruits when I was running the game. So
That's got to be cool and nerve wracking at the same time.
yeah, yeah. So um, yeah, it's a good game. Perfect for small unit tactics.
Okay.
So yeah, you could, for two players, you could definitely get away with, you know, 10 guys aside. You could probably even break those 10 guys down to, you know, three fire teams. You know, 2 units of three and a 1 unit of four if you wanted.
Well, and I'm sitting here going, do I play it like I normally did, which is just throwing a fistful of lead team on the table with one guy's got a BAR, one guy's got a Thompson, and three guys have rifles or something like that?
Yeah,
Or do
absolutely.
I actually look at how the section was set up and do your base of fire, do your scouts, do your squad leader, your assistant squad leader, um,
Yeah.
and
So if you look at World War II, a U.S. infantry unit was broken down into um, ABC,
mm-hmm,
where you would have your um, your A was basically your scouts. You would
right,
have two of those guys. Then you would have your BAR team, which was three guys, which was your BAR and two ammo haulers for him. And then you'd have that was five. So and then you'd have 7 guys with uh, Garands or carbines or a mixture of the two.
yeah, depending on the theater,
Right.
or if you're very unlucky, 1903 Springfield.
Right. Right. Well, one of your scouts would have a 1903 Springfield because he was your sniper. Your
Okay,
the best shot, the guy who scored the best in basic training was normal in a squad was normally given the 1903 and said, "You're your scout sniper for
I
the."
thought that was at the platoon level. I didn't realize that was at the squad level.
Yeah, they would if they could get a hold of a 1903 with a scope,
Okay,
they 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 would push it down,
good
just
to
like
know.
the Marines would. Their TO&E said they had one BAR in the squad.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Um, they would beg,
I'm saying the TO and E said that. I'm not saying
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
disagreeing with that.
He said that there was three BARs in a platoon. They would beg, borrow, and steal and get two or as many as three BARs to a squad.
At the end of the war, wasn't the ideal number like one per every three men?
Right, because then you would basically you took on for the Marine Corps, you took on the same idea as the German infantry had, whereas the American infantry platoon used uh, M1919 uh, air cooled 30 calibers, two per. Well, you would have one per squad for leg infantry, and yep, one of those guys. Two per squad um, in airborne, and but they wouldn't have VARs. They
Right.
did, um, but the machine guns were in
That
support
would be a
of the
conversion.
infantry. There you go. Whereas the Germans, the base of fire were the MG34s or the MG42s. With
Okay.
the infantry, more likely MG34s. With the regular riflemen being supporting the machine guns.
So you said it was probably an MG34. Where did the
regular
what,
regular infantry,
okay, where'd
regular
the
Wehrmacht
42s wind
infantry
up
was.
then?
What's that?
Where'd the 42s wind up then? Because
The 42s.
I've always
The
kind of wondered where on earth, because I've got both.
42s were normally um, on the uh, on the Sid Caviz 251s.
Okay, so they're more of a vehicle mounted.
Right, but they could be taken off and bipod mounted.
Okay, I think I got a 34 on my half track. I may need to try those out.
Now 34s were you could an MG34 was a light machine gun with a bipod, a medium machine gun on a vehicle or a tripod.
Okay.
With the 42, it was a medium machine gun on a tripod and a heavy machine gun on a tripod, um, and the tripod was not easily mobile. It was not a tripod like the 1919
No, it's
tripods.
one of these doohickeys.
Yeah, exactly. And where it became more of a a super light artillery
Oh,
piece.
it's I mean it's got a telescopic sight on it. It's built for indirect fire.
Yeah,
It's the common case of German over engineering.
exactly. Um, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm Let's go ahead and take a look at this guy.
Yeah.
Um, Here we go.
Oh, he's looking good. I'm digging the color on the backpack. What'd you use for that?
It's a good question. Think I think I used Argus Dunes
Okay.
because the oboe or whatever the hell it is, I think is Nasreg yellow. I
Now
no,
is that a Skullforge miniature then?
yeah,
Okay, because I was like, there's no way there's a Legion figure running around with a musical instrument on his back. That's not.
no, not at all. Tim says interesting thing was the Germans apparently didn't like the sound of the Thompson, while the MG42 had to be a nightmare to hear. Oh yeah. Well, see, the Thompson, being that it was 9 millimeter parabellum, had a very distinct crack.
The
Uh,
Thompson or
yeah, the Thompson.
the Thompson was 45 ACP.
Yeah, 45 ACP. I'm
Sorry,
thinking. Yeah, it's. I don't know why I said 9. 45 ACP, which had a very distinctive had a very distinctive pistol crack. You know,
right.
pack, pack, pack. And when you fired it at full auto, it was it was definitely very much like an AK.
Well, and you're getting that little extra velocity from the longer barrel too. I won't say you're not screaming hot coming out of that barrel, but
Right.
you're getting a little bit extra velocity coming out of that thing.
Whereas the MG42 just sounded like somebody ripping canvas cloth
Yeah.
because it was slinging slugs like nobody's damn business. It was yeah, it was 10 times it was 10 ways of scary.
Yeah, I have not heard an MG42, but I've been around an MG3 and 308, and
Yeah.
I'm imagining they're similar.
So if you ever get the chance, um, several times a year, the Texas Military Forces Museum at Camp Mabry in Austin
Okay.
puts on uh, live exercises.
I've got a I've got a buddy at College Station that's been begging me to come down and go to that with him.
Yeah. So there's 3 that I know of. Mustard Days is the big one. That one is, I think maybe it's this weekend
Okay.
because it's always either the weekend before or the weekend after April 21st, which is San Jacinto Day,
Right.
which is the day the Sam Houston and his boys beat the shit out of Santa Ana and
And
captured
stole
him
his
and
leg.
said, "What? No, the leg was actually stolen during the Mexican American War,
Okay. That was after.
and by a uh, Tennessee unit,
Oh, it
and
was it
then
wounds at San Jacinto he suffered that made him lose his leg?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But he was again captured in the Mexican American War. The Tennessee, I believe it was a Tennessee unit. It was one of the southern units that captured it, and then Illinois captured it during the Civil War,
Oh, that's
and
funny.
it's it's at the Illinois State uh, Military Museum here in Springfield.
That's funny. They passed it
And
around.
that other state, and I can't remember if it was Texas or Tennessee or who, keeps petitioning to have it sent back. And Illinois says, "Fuck you, buddy. We won it fair and square in the Civil War. You
Yeah, come
traitors."
get it, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
I don't remember if it was Texas or Tennessee either. For some reason, I want to say Texas, but I could be wrong.
um, yeah, I don't
Because I feel
remember.
like if it was Texas, Texas would just go get it back, though.
Could
it,
be.
it
Anyway,
maybe not in force, but send a couple guys in black ski
right,
masks, and I don't
right.
know where the leg went.
But yeah, the muster days, and I've talked about muster days here before. In fact, one of my first video I ever put onto my channel back in 2011, 2012, I think it was, is a slideshow of the uh, battle reenactment of the 36th Infantry assaulting the Siegfried Line.
That's pretty
Uh,
cool.
and you have guys done up as American soldiers, 36th Infantry in 1944, 45. And then you've got Wehrmacht, Germans dressed up in Wehrmacht. Got an 105 millimeter M4 Sherman that comes out. Got a Hetzer that rolls out. And then they've started collecting up people that will bring down their own tanks. They got an M5 that comes
Okay.
down. Uh, got a guy who brings down a Sidkit Viz 222 armored car.
I wonder what the gas bill on that thing is.
Um, well, I know that they tow it.
Yeah. Can you
um,
imagine driving down the interstate in one of those things?
yeah, but
It's a funny look.
they're all set up with propane tanks
Oh, cool.
to fire.
Right.
So what they do is they fill the chamber of the 105 millimeter gun. They fill the chamber with a certain amount of propane and then spark it off.
So like a
So you,
potato cannon.
what's that?
So like a homemade potato cannon.
Yeah, but there's no projectile.
Right, but I'm saying the principle's the same.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but you still feel the thud.
Right.
You know,
Also,
and then
don't ask why we made propane powered potato cannons. Anyway,
you
uh,
probably don't want to. And then the 50 on top is also tied into the propane.
okay.
And every time you depress the butterfly, it lets out a little bit of gas and it goes pop, 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 pop,
That's
pop, pop,
pretty
pop,
cool.
pop. Yeah. So you don't get a full automatic. You can't hold it down and let it go.
No.
But
Yeah, you
you know
could.
you can go pop, 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 pop,
And
pop.
let's be honest, with the 50, you could probably push it as fast as those 50 caliber
Oh,
slugs on
sure.
the way
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. But you can't hold it down because then you just get a flamethrower,
Which is
which
cool,
is a
but
completely
not
different
what you're
tank.
going for.
Right.
So yeah, talk to me about those Sherman 105s. I've heard things about them. I don't know much
So
about
it's a standard Sherman, but what they did was took the 75 out
them.
and put in a 105 howitzer.
Okay.
And
Right. And I've got a couple kits sitting in the back that are Sherman 105s. I just don't know where to put them.
so
Like what theater?
they
What,
World War II
just every.
in northwest Europe and
Okay.
well Western Europe, uh, both
What?
Normandy and Dragoon.
Okay. No, I'm an Italian front guy, so I
Yeah,
probably
they
use
had
one
them there
there
too.
too.
They had them there too.
Um,
And normally you'd have one or two per company.
okay. I've got one. I haven't built it yet, but it's a Sherman 105 with the coaxial removed and replaced with a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that'd
That
be
was
for the Pacific.
that was definitely Pacific. Yeah.
But
Uh,
I think the miniature I have is specifically for the Korean War. But I'm gonna paint it up for the Pacific.
yeah. Now
So,
they were used as field guns, or assault guns.
okay.
To they were not used as anti tank. They didn't go up against other tanks.
Okay.
They were used to take out walls, buildings,
Well, if I'm running
etc.
tank on tank combat on my table, I've done something wrong.
Oh
Somebody
yeah, absolutely.
because
Yeah,
I'm not in that. That's not me.
yeah.
I because
If you've
for
got
me, if a tank shows up, the tank becomes the objective and or a key part of the scenario
right,
because
yeah,
it's either urban combat or trying to drop a grenade in the top of something, or
yep,
we're pinned down by a tank and we're trying to figure out how to get the bazooka off or something of that nature. Um,
exactly.
so the Pacific, it's perfect because I can have a tank trying to destroy fortifications and have the Japanese have artillery on standby or landmines or something of that nature.
Yeah, it's the same idea that if you actually have artillery on the board and the enemy is assaulting it, you've already lost.
Somebody messed up.
Yeah,
Load canister, pull the string, and run.
exactly,
It,
exactly.
it's
Um, so, um, but also on muster day weekends, they'll have Civil War reenactors,
Mhm.
and they won't have a full battle like they do with World War II, but they'll have some guys out there in an encampment with a cannon and
That's pretty cool.
what what they would have had. Also, there is a group. Um, I think I don't remember which Cav regiment it was, but Buffalo Soldiers.
Is it the 10th is one of them, right?
I think so, and they come down from Fort Hood. Well,
Okay. I
it's
don't
not
remember.
Fort Hood anymore. It's Fort Cavazos, or will about to be Fort Cavazos. They come down from Fort Cavazos and with the horses and the uniform and
So
uh,
when I worked for the stagecoach stop in Kansas City, I don't remember if it was that unit, but it was a unit that reenacted Buffalo Soldiers that came up occasionally for an event.
yeah, they
Um,
probably came out of Fort Riley.
Probably, but it
It's
was not.
probably the
I
same
know the Fort Riley
organization.
guys. It was not the Fort Riley guys. I don't know if
Okay,
these guys were military or if they were just reenactors,
yeah,
but and they did a phenomenal job. But on site, nobody brought it in. We owned it. We had a 12-pound mountain howitzer,
cool.
and we would touch that thing off occasionally, and that would shake the foundations of some buildings.
Yeah,
I was usually driving the stagecoach about the time they'd touch it off, and I'd always stop my horses right before they did it, and cannon would go off, and the horses would jerk a little bit, but they knew the sound of that gun; they were fine with it. The monster truck rally across the street, that was a different story.
yeah.
But anyway,
So, um,
I
so
enjoyed working there.
um, apparently this year, muster days was April 15th, so last weekend.
Okay,
And they're now calling it Living History Weekend.
which
Um,
would make sense.
and it's take a stroll through Texas military history at Camp Mabry's Living History Weekend. Um, the free event hosted by Texas Military Forces Museum will allow visitors to see uniforms, equipment, weapons, tents, communications gear, military vehicles, and more dating from the earliest days of the Texas militia and the Texas Revolution through the end of the Cold War. And They would have at 11:30 each day. They would have a 19th century weapons demonstration, and at 1 they would have a World War II battle reenactment, and that would take. They would do it 30, 40 minutes.
Wow.
Um, and let's see here. They would. They've also the next one that they're doing is May 27th, 28th, right around Memorial Day. Is Close Assault 1968,
Okay.
which is um, it's Vietnam basically, and they bring an M113 out. Um,
I gotta see if I can get down there for that.
I think they have a Huey
Okay.
do a flyover with a guy hanging out the door firing an M60 blanks, and then they've got they got guys dressed up, of course, as Vietnamese dudes in a hut or in huts,
Right.
and they actually set them on fire.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've also seen them do a uh, air assault
Okay.
where they had two Blackhawks fly in with M249s firing, which the M240's got the 7.62, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they got two M240s in the doors, blasting away with blanks, with a couple of pickups driving across the parade grounds with an explosion in the back. Uh, a charge that is designed to make big boom but no damage.
Yeah.
And then they would uh, one of the helicopters would come in and a fire team would fast rope down,
That's pretty
uh,
cool.
get into a firefight with the guys in the truck, and then capture a high value target. Uh,
That's
and then while all that was happening, the other helicopter would orbit over the top, laying down suppressive fire.
those guys gotta
Going
have a
back to,
blast doing that.
oh yeah, because this is their guard weekend.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, the,
Oh.
yeah, that's their guard weekend for the month of for the that month.
Oh.
The
Anyway.
when they do the modern stuff, this is their guard weekend. Well, even when it's not the modern stuff, even when it's like the
Vietnam or World War II.
Vietnam, they use the guardsmen to help control traffic, move people around. That's their guard weekend.
That's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, um,
And a couple
so
of my buddies would probably have a thing or two to say about that, but
well,
I'm gonna hold my
when it
tongue on it.
well when it's the close assault thing, I mean
That's
that
fun.
that's training.
Yeah.
That is actual training because they would actually, you know,
Yeah,
they
that's what you
train to
train to
do
do.
that. Yeah. So, um, yeah, they do it once around, uh, and they change it up. They change it up around Memorial Day and Veterans Day in November
Okay.
as to what they've done. Previously, what they did was do not a live fire exercise, but blank fire of the
Okay.
different weapons. Um, hey, take care, Charles.
Those
So,
105s are loud.
yeah,
I went to a July 4th concert in downtown KC at Union Station one year, and there was a battery of 105s. It was the Truman Battery that was up on the hill, and they fired off a salute at the end of the night.
yeah,
And you talk about those explosions, ricocheting down off the buildings and echoing down the alleys. That was
yep.
loud.
Oh, yeah,
Made my dad a little uncomfortable for a couple different reasons. I think it was bringing back some stuff, but it was very loud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, my dad was in Div Arty, Divisional
Mhm.
Artillery, 49th Armored Division, Div Arty, headquarters battalion, headquarters company, um, in San Antonio. And yeah, it's to us, to my brother and me, get close to the howitzers during the 4th of July, because you can feel it in your chest.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
So here it's a I got a picture here. This is the inside of the museum at Camp Mabry, and they've done a lot of
I
work
have
in
I've
there.
been there.
Well, when was the last time you were there?
Um, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, so they've got even more done since then.
Okay, I need
As
to
you
I
can,
need to go back. Well, yeah, we
yeah,
took a
as you
trip
can
to
see,
Austin.
this is uh, their M4 with a 105 gun on it.
Okay,
That's their M5. That's new, relatively new, within the last probably 5 years,
I
five
need
ten
to I
years.
need to dig through my pictures that I took there.
Um,
At that point, I was more interested in the Model 1895 field gun they had, and the pack mule harness, and
yeah,
some of that stuff. And then, if I recall right, they had some 54 millimeter dioramas and 135th scale dioramas that were just breathtaking. Um, and my dad and I are sitting there looking at it, and I said, "Yeah," I said, "There's guys that have game tables that look just as good." And
yeah,
he's like, "You mean what you do?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, that's impressive."
yeah. I'm gonna answer Micah's question real quick. She's got bridge scenery piece, 10 by 4.5 by 1 3/4. How many points? Uh, if it's the bridge and the abutment on each side, with some actual scenery on it, I would say easily 20 25 points. Yeah, because that's not exactly a small piece.
That's fair, because you were pointing me out Bacage pieces at 5 points apiece. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's fair.
Um,
I still need to total all those up and finish some.
okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get this here.
So Chris, if somebody asked you what your favorite period of history was and you couldn't say World War II,
Um, that's a good question. Let me think about that. Hold on here. There's the Hetzer.
oh yeah, I've got a picture of that.
Yeah, the Hetzer and the Sitka Viz 251.
Okay, I didn't realize that those were the ones they actually used in the reenactment. I thought those were just
Yep. Nope.
cool.
Oh, and there's a Kubelwagen behind it, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
actually I can't remember if it's a Kubelwagen or a Schwemmerwagen.
Um, do they have both? Because that's a Kubel.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they have both, but I have seen a Schwemmerwagen there.
Okay, I couldn't remember if I had taken a picture of a Schwimmwagen or not, but um, yeah, I need to find my pictures I took at that museum. That was impressive.
Yeah.
And their little exhibit halls are phenomenal too.
Yeah.
They're
They,
nothing to
I
sneeze
can
at.
I can remember when it was not anywhere close
I think they
to
had
this
part of a
level.
B-25 there. like the cockpit and part of the fuselage where you get up in it when I was there last.
That I'm not sure of. You may be thinking, have you ever been out to um, Museum of the Pacific out in Fredericksburg?
No, no. The Camp
Okay.
Mabry at Austin is the only one I've been to, and I'm pretty sure that was there
Okay.
when I was there. It was off in a corner, off the side.
Yeah.
I actually bought some figures at the gift shop there. They had a bunch of loose Civil War soldiers from a bunch of different manufacturers, and there was a couple of sergeant casts that I only had one or two of that I needed more of, and I picked them up and bought
Yeah.
them. I think I bought some books there too. That's usually what I get on vacation when we go to museums like that is books.
Yeah.
I bought and read so many books. So I used to read like crazy. I was fourth grade, I think, and picked up the Chronicles of Narnia
All right. Take care, Tim. Have a good night, buddy.
and crawled under a table and read them in an afternoon.
So, if anybody is interested in uh, looking at the museum, if you go to uh, if you go to the website for the Texas, uh, look up uh, Camp Mabry Texas Military Museum, and they've got a virtual walkthrough of the um of the museum,
Well, I will
and
be doing that today or tomorrow.
yeah. Um, so during World War II, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so 12, 14 Medal of Honor winners from uh, from the 36th Infantry Division.
That's an incredible service record.
Um, this is probably something that I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick. Um, this is probably something that you have seen.
Yes, yes, that is one of the things that I was talking to Dad and looking over. I got pictures of it.
Yeah, that's
And there was
that's
another one. There was another one on the
that's
Italian front that was urban combat that
yeah,
I was.
that's Salerno. Um,
And they have an Alamo as well.
yes, they do.
That was it was fair. I'm not saying it wasn't incredible.
Here you go. This is San
Yes,
Pietro.
yes, that is what Dad and I were looking at over, and I'm saying, hey, guys play games on tables like that.
Yep.
Um, I would love to be able to play a game just on that table. Just ask very nicely to take the figures and the tanks out
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, no. By the
And then
way,
they've
do you
got
need a one-way ticket to a mental institute?
right. Um,
They've done a lot since we were there last, because that's not how that was set up at all.
yeah, they've done an amazing job.
If you wouldn't mind, go back one back to the room that you were at. The mannequin that's sitting down or on to your left looked like he had a tan bandolier on.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'd never seen one of those in tan.
Yeah.
Good to know, or khaki, I should say. Good to know. Cool. Sorry, it just caught my eye.
No, that's fine.
Um, Good to know. Because I've always
It,
painted those up as olive drab, but if I can put a few in khaki, that'd spice up my figures a little bit.
yeah, and it's interesting to note that they had the red shoes,
Mm-hmm.
the red leather shoes, khaki gaiters, the red brown trousers, and the olive green field jacket
That's a very
o-
distinct look.
over over a khaki
That's a,
uh,
it's a very distinct look.
shirt. Yeah, and then there's your field your field medic.
Yeah. So I didn't get it too far off then.
Nope, nope,
This is
not too
this
far
is
off.
uh this is my Italian front BAR gunner.
Let's take a look at that. Hold on.
If it'll focus.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's real close.
cool. Good to know. But you can take it back to the museum. I didn't mean to distract off that.
That's okay.
But I
All right.
like it when I'm randomly right.
Yeah. Um, Mike's heading out. Also, he's going to go to the man cave to film a giveaway and then some more Fort Jefferson attack playthrough. Well, we've actually gone for over 2.5 hours, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the actual show here. We still got 4 viewers. I want to thank y'all tonight for joining us, Tim and Mike and Warmut popping in from time to time, and uh, Telemachus and Charles and Chris Long, McMurray dropping in, Steve, thank you. Uh, and of course, Reese, thanks for being part of this group. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, guys, I want to thank y'all once again. Y'all have a great, great time. And we will see you on Wednesday. What we're going to talk about, I don't know yet. We might talk about aging of the hobby. That might be our topic. So, but until next time, as always, we will see you on the flip side.